everyone, this is Mrs. Parr, and on this episode of Math Up to Par, we are going to be talking about bar graphs. We're going to create a bar graph, and then we're going to use that bar graph to help us answer some questions. So let's create a bar graph on this grid right here about this data. Okay, so this data is favorite pizza toppings. So the first thing I need to do when I'm creating my graph is to create my title. And I'm going to go ahead and make this smaller. Favorite pizza toppings. Okay, so that is going to be my title. I'm going to underline it. Go ahead and make it a color that stands out. All right. So that's my title. Okay, but that's the title for the whole graph, but I also need to go ahead and label my axis, my x-axis, which goes across, and my y-axis. So sometimes when you look at a bar graph, you see the bars going up and down. Sometimes you'll see them going side to side. Either way can be correct. For this bar graph, we're going to have the bars going up and down. So that means we need to label each one of these bars. Okay, so for one of them, we're going to make that the cheese. So that is going to go right here, and I'm going to label it C for just to abbreviate. Then we're going to do right here, we're going to make this pepperoni. Then we're going to do, then over here we will do our sausage. Sorry about that. And then we will do our veggies, okay? That will be right here. So I am putting a space in between each one just so that we can see it a little bit clearer, okay? So I've labeled these, okay? What are these right now? What are these called? These are called my toppings, right? So I need to go ahead and put a title underneath. So we're going to call that our type of pizza topping. So we're going to graph our cheese. How many people liked cheese? How many people liked pepperoni? How many people liked sausage? And how many people liked veggies? Okay. Now we need to mark that amount. Okay. So we need to give our y-axis a title. We are going to title the y-axis number of people. Okay. So we need to decide what our unit is that we're going to count by, okay? So you'll notice our smallest number is 3, our highest number is 17. So if I count by ones, if this bottom line is 0 and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm not going to have enough. So I need to count by a different unit. So let's try 2s. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. That's perfect because that gets to 17. It goes a little bit above, but not too far above. If I were to count by 5s, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, sure, I'd be able to fit this, but it wouldn't be as clear to read because all of my graphs would be, all of my amounts are less than 20, so they'd all be at the bottom here. So you want to try to pick a good unit that's going to include all of your information clearly, but also allow you to see. So let's go ahead and label these so that they count by 2s. Okay, so now I have my graph labeled and it's counting by 2s. So each line is going to be worth 2. So now let's graph the number of people who liked cheese as their favorite pizza topping. So cheese is at the number 11, okay? Well, there's no number 11 right here, but I do know that 11 is more than 10 and less than 12. It's actually halfway in between. So when I mark this, I'm going to mark this line halfway in between. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw my bar, and it's going to go up here and it's going to go halfway in between, right there. Okay, now for pepperoni, I had 17 people. So 17 is not listed on here either because it's an odd number and I'm counting by twos, but it is halfway in between 16 and 18. So I'm going to go over right here because this is the line where my pepperoni is. I'm going to actually start from where I'm supposed to be so that I can make sure that I graph it correctly. And that is how I'm going to measure pepperoni. Sausage had 8 people. 8 is here, so I'm going to make it exactly on the 8. And then 3 people chose veggies as their favorite, and 3 is halfway in between 2 and 4, so I'm going to make sure it goes halfway in between. Okay, so this graph is a way to visually show you what's happening. I know we're only comparing 4 numbers here, and it's kind of easy to see with just the table, but graphs are really helpful in real life because they can help us see and notice patterns that we may not notice with just numbers. Okay, so it's a really useful tool. So let's interpret this graph, which means let's look at it and let's use it to answer some of our questions. So the first question is, what topping was the most popular? So we can see on this graph that pepperoni is the most popular. Our second question says, what topping was the least popular? We can look over here and we can see that veggies were the least popular among the people. So now let's take it a little further. So how many more people liked pepperoni than sausage? I know that 17 people liked pepperoni, and I know that 8 people liked sausage, so there were more that liked pepperoni than sausage, but how many more? So I could use this graph to count the number of blocks because each block is worth 2, and then a half a block is worth 1, so I could count the difference, or I could do a subtraction problem. The subtraction problem that I would do would be 17 pepperoni minus 8 sausage. So 17 minus 8 is 9. I can check that by going here. So this 2, 4, 6, 8, and then a half is one more, so that would be 9. Okay, so that's how many more people liked pepperoni than sausage. All right. Let's take away this line. All right. So now it says how many more people liked sausage or veggies combined than liked cheese. So this is a multi-step problem. We can use graphs to help us with that. So there were more people that liked sausage and veggies combined than liked cheese. So I have to add up my sausage plus my veggies. Well, that's 8 plus 3, and that equals 11, okay? Well, then 11 people liked cheese. So how many more people liked sausage and veggies combined than liked cheese? I would then do 11 minus 11. Well, 11 minus 11 is 0. So actually 0 more people liked it. It was actually the same amount. Let's look at our last one. So how many total people liked meat toppings on their pizza? Well, cheese is not a meat, veggies are not meat, but pepperoni and sausage are meat. So how many total people? Well, I need to add these amounts together. So I'm going to add my 17 pepperoni plus my 8 sausage. Okay, 8 plus 7 is 15. 1 plus 1 is 2. So there are 25 total people. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today on creating and interpreting bar graphs. Thanks for listening and happy practicing.